Hello guys, and welcome to a new Star Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 3 versus 3 on Novka, and in this one I'm going to be using the 4th Fallschirmjager with the balanced deployment type. This is another of the new divisions available in the latest Tribute to the Liberation of Italy DLC, so I'm going to be showing off another one today. And yeah, this game was absolutely epic. It was really good fun, so definitely stick around and enjoy this one. Let's go through the units that I have at the start. Fallschirmjager, we've got 3 of those. Some paracadutisti. I've also got some guastatori. We've got 2 Panzerschrecks here. We've got 3 of these SBW AB-43s to support. I've got a Fallschirmjager to provide the extra veterancy. Stug M42 with the 2-star vet. Gives us some great rate of fire on that HE shell. Then the MG42 for long range anti-infantry cover, and then the Fallschirm Aufklärer there with the Kubel MG. On the left hand side I've got 2 81mm mortars being brought in with the Kettengrads. The only reason I use Kettengrads for transports is because I think they're absolutely amazing. And then I've got the Linz here as well, which is providing my commander with a little armoured car, which is going to be good. And that's going to help us get my Fallschirmjager to 3 vet when we're pushing up the hill here. So over on this left hand side it's going to be pretty concentrated engagement in this town. Novka is one of those maps where there is kind of quite obvious avenues of attack, and the way that it works in terms of balance is the side that we're on, the blue side, gets access to this flag, and then the side that they're on, the red side, gets access to this flag. And so it kind of skews the map slightly, and then you end up playing over these sort of small areas of land in between all of these lakes. It's really cool actually. IL-2 going to be coming in early on from Source, maybe looking for some strafes there, but there is an 80, I was going to say an 88, it's a 105 at the start. This is because he's playing Verteidigungsbereich Delon, which has the 105mm there. So over on this left hand side, the SBW AB-43 is going to be engaging the Maxims and the Superi PPSH. That kind of allowed me to get my troops through and round the corner, which was really important. Kubel MG going to come under fire from these 2 ZIS-3s that were forced to unload early. And it seems like we both kind of overestimated how far up we could get on the map. And it kind of fell in my favour because I had the Veterancy to absolutely demolish his forces. Like, the Fallschirmjager love this range engagement because they have the 2 FG-42s, the 6 G-43s and the 2 MG-34s, and all of these can fire over 500 meters range, or well, within 500 meters range. Lovely bombing strike there actually from the PE2. Does end up killing a Panzerschreck, one of my infantry squads, and the leader, so we actually end up losing the Veterancy that I was saying that did me so well, or did so well for me at the start of the game. I do also lose my M42 here to the Su-85s, but yeah, the initial engagement went very well against the infantry and the support weapons, so we have that advantage. We've just got to be very careful of these Su-85s, as they are, you know, doing a number on some of my units here, and that bomber obviously coming in really kind of caught me off guard since I didn't bring in any anti-air at the start, and I also didn't have any fighters, so couldn't really stop that from happening. Focke-Wulf 190 going to be coming in with its payload though, the 1 250kg bomb and the 4 50kg bombs. We're going to be looking for the bombing strike onto the Su-85 there. Panzerschreck does move up the hill and kills one of the Su-85s. But now I'm just going to be trying to rush these Su-85s down with the SBW AB-43s. I can definitely do damage to these in the side armour or in the rear armour. And he can try and run away from that, but I do also have the Panzerschreck now up here, so as long as that can get another shot off, I'm absolutely fine. There we go. 3 kills now for that Panzerschreck. Get a triple kill onto the Su-85s, and now I'm going to be able to use these AB-43s to clean up the rest of the forces. Avto Komroti goes down, the Flamer squad down here goes down, and the sniper is now going to come under fire. We completely cleaned out the left side, but no commander does have some more troops on the way now. So yeah, a very good start now. It kind of went really well, and then obviously the bomber kind of gave us a setback, and then we got all the kills on the Su-85s, so now it's on. We're really wanting to push our advantage here, get a good place in the town, because early on I'm going to want to get as much ground as I can against the 97th. So we're up against the 97th Guards Rifles, which is probably one of the strongest divisions in the game, especially in team games right now, because it does get access to some really decent off-map artillery. But that is generally brought in by players in like B and C, so I'm trying to get as much work as I can done in Phase A, whilst that off-map is going to be less of an issue. But I am going to invest in these two nags, the Nag 4500s, which have the 37mm on the back. These are going to be very helpful for dealing with the PE2s, like those bombers coming in and hitting my forces. And I'm also now moving up the 81mm mortars so that they have better range into these engagements on the left-hand side. So since I have managed to capture this flag, and I believe we managed to hold this flag, which usually goes over to the red side, we are 14 to 10. Which is good. 15 to 9 would be better because it would cause the double tick. But still, we take what we can get. Guardia are trying to do some damage to the SBW AB-43 here, but the 20mm are really, really strong. I'm even going to move this one up to help the engagement against the Guardia with the Guastatore here. So new Fallschirmjäger has arrived, and you can see that the commander's short on giving that the extra veterancy, so I'm actually going to move the Linz here further forwards. SBW still doing lots of nice damage there, and the Fallschirmjäger is able to push forwards into better positions in these buildings. So veterancy for this division, just like a lot of the other divisions in this DLC actually, is super important. And you're probably saying, Vulcan, like surely veterancy is useful all the time. Well, for a lot of units or a lot of divisions, you have things like off-map or strong artillery or strong aircraft. And if you have strong artillery or strong aircraft, you don't really need veterancy. And the reason for that is because you use the artillery to pin down your opponent and then surrender them, right? So the leadership becomes a lot less important because you're probably going to just be YOLOing forwards like low-level troops to surrender high-level troops that you're up against. But in this case, and a lot of the divisions that are coming with this DLC, they don't really get off-map. There's like no off-map. And it's actually been quite a nice change because when the DLC came out, everyone was playing the new divisions, and then there was no off-map. So being able to play around high veterancy units has been really fun. But yeah, ultimately, when you're using high veterancy like this, I'm relying on one Fallschirmjäger to provide all this area with these 3-star Fallschirmjäger and these 3-star Paracadutisti. What's going to happen is it's the perfect radius for a lovely off-map strike. So you've got to be kind of careful using leadership like this, and it can get you caught out quite a lot. But yeah, either way, this is one of the divisions that does make good use of veterancy, and especially with Fallschirmjäger, which are really good. Now this was a bit of a mistake on my part. I run the Fallschirmjäger over. I was really lucky not to lose them because the two Guardia DP squads did open up onto my Fallschirmjäger there. I'm going to move the SBW AB-43 over to the right hand side, almost get it killed by the T-34. Managed to get these Paracadutisti to get a Panzerschreck onto, or Panzerfaust, sorry, onto the T-34-76 1943, so that was a good kill. And now I'm going to be looking potentially to get this T-34 1943 kill. 105 does a great job of killing off the T-34-76 for me. I also brought in another of the Stug M42s that could cover the open here. These do have 1,750 meter range, so they're able to kind of cover over this lake pretty well. I'd only have to be worried about things that can have more than 2,000 meter range. Or, well, 2,000 meter range obviously being the max. Now the smoke did come down, so I decided to, you know, YOLO a Panzerschreck up here to take care of the T-34. If I can get that kill, that would be absolutely fantastic, and the Paracadutisti can pin down the ZIS-3. Everything's going very, very nicely at the moment on the left-hand side. We're getting lots and lots of kills early on. Very cost efficient, which is what you want to see. Meanwhile in the mid, Glorious Dude's holding on as best he can. He got put in a bit of a predicament here because he's up against Sturmsource, who is using Gruppe Weiburg, and of course that does give him access to IS-2s, and up against a division that doesn't really get much armor like Verteidigungsbereich, the IS-2 is going to be a bit annoying to deal with. Also, Crow on the right hand side He was up against the 3rd Guards, but he did have the 16th Panzer, so wasn't so much of a problem. A King Tiger H can easily be able to deal with some IS-2s. T-34-76 going down again on this side, which was really good. The Paracadutisti, I'm going to try and reinforce them now with the Fallschirmjager. But 1 minute until Phase B, and when we get into Phase B, I've got to start to worry about off-map. Like, sometimes players will bring off-map in Phase A, and that can be extremely frustrating, especially if it were to happen in this game. It would have absolutely annihilated my strategy of having my Fallschirmjäger provide all the extra veterancy in this area. It would have just demolished me. But thankfully, not quite yet. So I'm actually looking for the next flag to take, and you can see that I am bringing up some more Paracadutisti. Sorry, I'm going to keep messing this up. And they're going to probably try and run across here to grab this flag. Because if we can grab that flag, we go 15-9. That speeds up the game a bit, which definitely helps us out in the long run. Because then I have to deal with less off-map as the game goes onwards. So yeah, anyway, Fallschirmjager quite happily dealing with the Maxim there with the 2 MG34s. This Paracadutisti going to have to move back from the T-34-76, but Glorious going to try and bring in a BF-109 and the Ju-88 to help on this side, but there is the 37 here that manages to force both of them back. But whilst that's firing at the aircraft, my Paracadutisti able to get quite far up. So we unload onto that flag, we get the 15-9, makes it so that it's only going to be 12 minutes until we get a victory. Although one of my SPW-43s has gone down. Now, Node Commander here, he did a great job of like just continuing the push and aggression into my forces. Like, usually after such a bad start for him, like, other players would have probably given up or maybe played it a lot more safe. But the fact he kept pushing back in aggressively with the T-34-76s, it might look like it's being inefficient. But at the end of the day, I don't really have too much here to stop it. Like, the Panzerschrecks can shoot at close range, sure thing. I can use the M42s, but I believe in Phase A with the 4th Fallschirmjäger, I don't really have much to deal with T-34s, so it was always a big threat. And if he had his Guardia reveal the positions of my Fallschirmjäger, the T-34s with their dual machine guns can pin them down quite quickly due to the recent MG tank buff. But the PARAS managing to hold on here, with the support of the M42 and the MG42 across the river, or across the lake, sorry, we're able to kind of hold that position with the one para for the time being. The double nags are able to stop this PE2 in its tracks, which is really good. The Fallschirmjäger there providing the veterancy onto those two 37mm, and we're even able to shoot it down. So great investment there into these AA pieces. It really can do quite a bit of damage. So I'm now trying to get this Para Esploratore over to this tree line. If I can get them in there, then we can try and like scout out enemy reinforcements coming into that area. But this is always going to be a very hard flag to attack because I have to go around the lake to get there. Also, you know, this entire road is vulnerable to being shot at from this area. So yeah, it's tough for me to get there, but I'm going to keep trying just because we are at such an advantage at the moment. But gone back to 13-11 as Glorious 2 is coming under a bit of pressure here in the centre of the map. MD42 now getting hit by mortar fire is going to go down. And that was another thing that would really kind of make me struggle. In any form of artillery really is always going to be a pain against bunched up units which are trying to make good use of veterancy, which is why you will often see players bring lower veterancy troops, because just availability when it comes to those sort of engagements is so much better, because you can be a lot more liberal with how you use your forces, and since income is more or less infinite as long as the game keeps going, availability will win out in the end. Yeah, the double mortar here, able to keep me on my toes, force back, like my AB here for example. When I see that getting fired at, any infantry engagement with like the Guardia say will probably get hit by the mortars as well. Just got the M42 at the moment though, going back towards these mortars. That's going to get itself filled up with more HE rounds. But since we're now in Phase B, I have brought in the Panther. I also decided to bring in the Elephant. Now the Elephant's actually available in my deck in Phase A, but I didn't really need it yet. But what I decided to do was bring it in on this right hand side because I thought it would be great for helping me deal with enemy IS-2s that might be coming in and trying to put pressure over the lake. Like the Elephant can kill IS-2s quite effectively. And my Para Esploratore does get taken out in that tree line, which was a bit unfortunate. Focke-Wulf 190 did come in the centre to potentially chase down some of these PE-2s that were coming in for the bombing strikes, but yeah, I managed to get that out of there just in time. Panther A going to be looking to engage the ZIS-2, but the ZIS-2 actually gets a nice shot there onto the Fallschirmjager. Shouldn't have really let that happen. And we just got the first taste of off-map in Phase B. Now I've got the BF-110 coming in. This is the BF-110 with the 4 210 kilogram rockets. I'm not quite sure what's going on there with the rocket pods on the wings. But yeah, that's coming in to try and kill some of this infantry for us. So that's going to fire away. And you can see that it completely misses. With the shot from the 85 hitting my BF-110, it does cause it to be inaccurate, and therefore we do miss the Strelke. I'm not really sure how much damage that would have done if it did hit, and I have seen these hit before, and they don't really seem to do too much. I'm not really that impressed with the BF-110s with those rockets on them. I like the BF-110s in general with the 30 mils and the 20 mils on them, like just as the fighter variant. I think they're very good, but when it comes to actually using those rockets, you're probably just better off strafing for the most part. Another off-map coming in again. That actually gets quite a couple of nice kills here. Takes out my leader, which leaves me with low veterancy on these guys, and also forces me to fall these back since they are pinned down. And just as I was saying earlier, like if you don't want to deal with Fallschirmjager or Guerrestatore, just pin them down and surrender them. Like that's the best thing to do. I have now brought in the AS-42 though. This thing has the 20 mil on it, and we managed to use it to take out the half track there. It's also great support against infantry because it does have that 5 mils of frontal armor. But 81 mil mortar is going to be firing away, looking for the kill now onto the ZIS-2. And since we can see the 85, I'm going to be firing at that as well. I don't necessarily need to rely terribly on aircraft throughout this game, but killing the 85 potentially allows like my teammates to do so as well. So there is that. Now Jagd has managed to push up quite well on the right hand side, so we are currently dealing with that, or at least Crow is. I'm just trying to keep up the pressure on this left hand side so that we are maintaining the even flags at least in the game. But I am under off-map fire again in this area. I believe he was using an off-map that had like 3 strikes, and so he's done 2 fire for effect, and now he's got a barrage on this road that I do need to be careful of. You can see I'm kind of trying to just go past that in order to avoid what just happened to my Fallschirmjager from happening. Thankfully the Fallschirmjager didn't actually take any damage or get killed from that. I was just unlucky that it dropped on this bottom side. So the last of that Fallschirmjager squad on the left getting taken out. Just getting these guys back into position. I have been forced to move the 37mm nag here further back because, again, off-map was there, so that's lost the veterancy. But I've still got this one further up. Now this is actually a really nice tip for AA. You can see I've got it in this position. Well, basically, if I put it there, it has pretty much complete line of sight over the airspace, but it can't be seen over the ridge. If I was to move just a little bit forwards there, you can see that the T-34 would probably be able to see it. So keeping it just far enough back that it's right on the edge means it still has full coverage over the air, gets the advantage of being on the high ground, but it can't actually be shot at by the enemy units that are actually on the high ground. So just a nice tip there for placement of your AA. You can do it with you know, standard stationary AA like an 85mm or a 37 rather than like a 37 in a truck. It works with any of them. Stuttgart 42 is going to go down. And Node has finally brought in the IS-2 1944 What a big beast this boy is. Has the 180mm of frontal armor, which actually makes it quite difficult for my elephant to kill. But it's still got a, you know, at least I think it was like a 35% penetration at that range, like at maximum range onto the IS-2, which is, you know, decent enough to force Node to have to fall back if he comes under a sort of consistent engagement. But the elephant is going to bounce that shot, and what I really need to do is ideally get a leader here, because that would increase the rate of fire of the elephant, and it would also increase the accuracy, which would, you know, give me more chances to find that penetration, because you can't obviously affect the amount you're going to penetrate, but you can affect the rate of fire and the accuracy. So making sure that you get every advantage that you can by using Veterancy is quite important. So I think later down the line I do bring in a leader to make sure that that's the case, but I am bouncing all these shots, which was kind of sad. I'm also going to try and mortar that. 85 pops my AS-42 20mm, which kind of sucked. But now, since we've seen the IS-2 come in, I invest into these K-18s. The 172mm artillery. These are very big boys. So I'm going to be making use of these now. And anytime we see the IS-2 and it's in radio range, I'm going to be able to try and take them out. Also, if there's like any infantry engagements here that are going to be tough for me to deal with, I can also try and drop some shots in, especially if we do have radio range, then it should work out alright. The Panther is forced to move back. It does take a lot of damage from that off-map strike. You can see the texture there on the tank showing how damaged it is. Lucky to be alive. A little bombing strike there, or even just a single mortar round would probably take it out. But the Nag here forced to fall back as well. I guess the only saving grace of all of this was that the off-map wasn't getting that many kills. But what it was doing was pinning down my units enough for him to move forwards with other units and surrender them, or other units and finish them off. So he'd take like the Fallschirmjager here down to like a couple men, and then just have a Gvardier move forwards and finish them off, which was, you know, obviously frustrating for me to deal with, because there isn't really much counterplay to off-map in Still Division 2. It just kind of becomes a bit of a waiting game sometimes. And this town really not having a nice time. You wouldn't want to have lived here before, because there won't be anything to return to. Yeah, the Fallschirmjager in a tough spot, because my Fallschirmjäger are also pinned down. They're also not close enough to stop them surrendering anyway. So yeah, it's a bit rough. I'm going to move up the AS-20mm just to try and kill this half-track, and then maybe use the Panther to kill the T-34s. But this M2A1 also comes in here and surrenders a couple more Fallschirmjägers, and all just due to that off-map. I do lose one of my SP-38Rs, but that was because I was rushing up some Fallschirmjägers over here. Just wanted to make sure I grabbed control of this flag, because if I can control that flag and this flag, then we maintain the lead. And we've already chunked our opponent's tickets quite a lot. Bro did manage to end up taking back this right-hand side, so that was a good job by him. And Glorious Dude's still trying to put on pressure in the center. AS-42 firing away once again. Going to be pinning down those Gvardier, doing loads of damage. I really, really like these recon vehicles. They are fantastic. Because not only can you use them to fire at infantry, you can also use them as anti-air. So if an enemy aircraft comes over to be a pain, you can use them for that role as well. Just about managed to surrender the Gvardier. I think because it lost line of sight, the PE2 didn't bomb. I'm not sure. But off-map comes down anyway, and that's going to pin down my Fallschirmjäger there. Thankfully, we still had one that was perfectly okay. And since they're in like heavy cover, and the Stroki are not, those Stroki get pinned down so fast. It's like the perfect range for the Fallschirmjäger. Like the range at which the opposing units can't use their submachine gun, but you can use all of your weapons. Like that's the ideal for the Fallschirmjäger. I'm going to be moving up the Panther 8 here, point blank into these T-34s, looking for a shot on target. Do manage to find one hit there, but they are going to get around the corner in time. The T-34-76 obviously being reasonably fast and able to get into cover. M2A1 moved on to the point. Panther Age trying to take it out, so are the Sturmpanzers. These Sturmpanzers I brought in specifically to help support the elephant across this open ground. So these Sturmpanzers, they're going to be great for killing off any AT guns that might be a threat. They're also good for supporting against enemy infantry and support weapons that might kill my infantry trying to get to this point. So yeah, that's why I had them in that position. And you can see the Sturmpanzers also firing all the way over to the right, so that's kind of handy as well. They do have the 2,000 meter range, so very, very nice support weapons. Alright, now we've got the rocket off map coming in. Now in the 97th, I know that there are 2 cards of the rocket artillery, the barrage that comes off the riverboat, in Phase C. You can get 2 of them. So we've got one coming down now. I didn't realise that it was this far over, so it does manage to clip and kill my Panther there, which was really bad for me. I do manage to get the kill onto the P2 though in the meantime. And the other thing that was really bad is the initial rockets killed a Panzerschreck. And that was, I believe, my last Panzerschreck, or one of the last Panzerschrecks, yeah, if not the last Panzerschreck that I had, which is not ideal. Because in sort of close-range town engagements, Panzerschrecks are so good, because armour is often forced to come really close in order to get the job done. Nice kill by the IL-2 to get the AS-42 there. I was lucky to do so, because it's quite a lot of AA, honestly. We've got the 2-star AS-20mm on this left side, I've got the 2 nags. Just this one hasn't got any veterancy, so that's probably why we didn't end up shooting that down. I do also have the Flak 41 coming in, just to back up our AA. The reason it's here is not only for AA purposes though, it's also so that I can get decent line of sight up onto the ridge. So yeah, that's going to be able to curb any over-aggression pushing back onto us. You can see the mortar still firing away. I've also got more, well, these 2 K-18s, going to be bringing in more as we've now moved into Phase C eventually. But I've got another 88 on the way. Just got to try and stop these bombers from being a problem, because, I mean, it's bad enough having to deal with all this off-map. Rocket artillery is going to come down, and that rocket artillery is going to be positioned throughout the game trying to kill the elephant. Unfortunately for the elephant, it's not the fastest tank in the world, so there isn't really too much I can do to avoid those rocket strikes unless I preemptively move all the time. Like, technically I could move forwards and back and give it orders to drive all around the place, which might work to avoid future rocket artillery, but it is a pain to do, and you got to make sure that the elephants point in the right direction. So generally the best way to do it is to have the elephant move forwards when you see a target it can kill, and then move back again into cover when, you know, you're not using it, and just hide it somewhere so that they don't know where to fire at it. And the IS-2 1944 here, with the 3-star veterancy, cleanly one-shot my Panther A that was coming up the road. That was unfortunate. These were 2 Panther A's that I brought in to replace the one that I was sending up the hill. Now, you are actually quite limited to the amount of Panthers that you get in the 4th Fallschirmjager, or you're just limited to armor in general, which makes sense because it is a Fallschirmjager division. But you get like 4, well, I think I have 4 Panthers and 4 Tigers. So anytime you lose a Panther, it really sucks. And I just lost 2 because I lost one to the rocket artillery and I lost one to that IS-2, which means I've only got the 2 left here. And they are going to be the best tools against the medium armor that Node Commander is bringing in, especially with my Panzerschrecks dead, because Panthers can quite safely engage T-34-76s at close range. Regardless, losing some infantry here, it's going to put some pressure onto the Panther, but as long as nothing scary comes up here with like a Panzerfaust or something, then I don't really have to worry. So eventually Node Commander is actually going to run forwards with these Cavadia, but I'm going to basically just stay here. I don't really care. He can move that up all he likes. All that's going to happen is my Panther A is just going to mow him down with the MG34 and just shrug off all of the PTRD shots that come its way. And the off-map's still falling. Does end up killing off another Fallschirmjager. But all I'm doing is just being patient. Like, he can't push into this any more than I can. So I've just got to wait, and then as soon as it stops, we can move troops back up the hill, and we can continue to contest the town. The main thing I've got to do is make sure that I don't lose too much in the meantime, and make sure that I have enough that I can continue to trade effectively. The Panther A is getting off their Gavardia, as I said. The 2-star Veterancy here, easy peasy for the MG34 to get loads of damage in. This Fallschirmjager goes a little bit too far. I had planned to like move it around the edge of the off map, but it gets hit directly by one of those rockets, and it takes it loses 6 of its men. Really, really bad. Right, artillery coming in again, 81mm mortar rounds coming in as well. You can see I've now brought up a couple more of these K-18s. So really starting to rack up the heavy artillery. Usually I probably wouldn't go so heavy on the heavy artillery, but because we're up against so many IS-2s, it's really important that we do so. It's the same if you were up against King Tigers, like getting enough artillery to kill them is super important, and that's basically what's been happening on the right hand side. I believe Crow was losing a couple of these King Tigers to rocket artillery, which is kind of annoying to deal with when you're using King Tigers. But yeah, our opponents had like a triple IS-2 divisions, so I did definitely need to have these K-18s. They're also useful in general. I mean, they're great for taking out enemy infantry, or not necessarily taking them out, but pinning them down. In this case, I think I'm just targeting the enemy mortars that have been harassing me for a lot of the game. So P2 is now coming in to try and bomb the 105. I'm going to purchase a BF-110. And these were the BF-110s I was talking about. They have the 230mm, the 220mm, and they can strafe really, really well. They're also relatively good interceptors. So we're able to shoot down that aircraft, we shoot down that aircraft as well, get a nice double kill with the PE-2s. AA kills a third. That was a really, really, really unfortunate strike for Sturmsource. We took out a lot of his PE-2s there. Nice interception from the BF-110, and it's going to get out alive as well. But yeah, the ones with the rockets on them, I just think the rockets kind of let them down. Like I said, you'd be way better just strafing stuff with them, because the 30mm are going to do a lot of damage to things like the ZIS-2s, infantry. They're going to pin it down every time anyway. There's no problem. I've got the Paracommando coming in, or Paracommander. This is the Italian leader. They do get those Berettas. They're providing the extra veterancy to the Fallschirmjager here. But would you look at that? It's another off map. So once again, Node Commander going to be putting down an off map on this area. Nice kill by my Sturmpanzer, does take out the ZIS-2 pretty easily. Now, I think for Node Commander, the idea that he had with this off map was to cut off the reinforcing roads up into this town to make it pretty much impossible for me to capture back this flag for as long as this off map is going off, which is pretty much true. However, I think if he'd use both strikes as like fire for effect strikes and then push through afterwards, I feel like that would have been a much better way to get me off the hill entirely, and then he could have used the gardens here of the town to control the long range, right? Because if he can get up here and kick me off the hill, and he gets great line of sight over all of these buildings, and if he gets a couple IS-2s up there, then it's going to be an absolute disaster for me to push back into. But as long as I can keep engaging him at close range, he can't really get any value out of the IS-2s, because they are vulnerable to the Fallschirmjager with the Panzerfaust. The Panthers can even penetrate the IS-2s at close range. So yeah, that's why these Panthers are also so important, and losing a couple of them really sucked, because they can also help deal with those IS-2s at close range. Yeah, the T-34s just can't do anything, like the T-34-76s at least. There are T-34-85s that they can use eventually, but yeah, the T-34-76s are, you know, tough. Or the Panthers are tough for the T-34-76s to deal with. So artillery is still coming in, as you can see. Those big artillery pieces firing away. I've spread out the targets. I've got one shot coming in here. I've got a shot coming in here. We've got two shots coming in here. The idea being that I'm just kind of like pinning down the units in each of these areas, allowing my Fallschirmjägers to push forwards and, you know, pin them down and kill them themselves. IS-2 though comes out on the corner, 1944 with 3-star Veterancy, looking for the kill onto my Brimbia. I'm trying to get the Elephant to move forwards and find line of sight onto the IS-2, but frustratingly I couldn't quite do it before No Commander managed to pick off both of the Brimbias here. Now, in order to avoid that in the future, what I should have done is really put the Brimbias on the left side of the Elephant, so that the IS-2 never had an angle to shoot them without being at threat from the Elephant. So yeah, that was something that was a bit of a mistake on my part. Now artillery going to be coming in over here, some rocket artillery hitting my leader. My Panther's also in a bit of a predicament, got to be really careful not to get that hit. Fortunately, none of the rockets land on target, because they would have done a lot of damage if they had. But it's still pretty much a stalemate, 12 to 12 across the board. Like, since I don't control the town, you know, this is kind of really hard for me to deal with. But another nice kill there onto a T-34. IL-2 going to be trying to come in to hit the Panther A. It is going to get its rockets off, which is not ideal for me. But we do have 3 37mm here. 2 are 2-star vet. This one's 3-star vet. Got the 2 88s. IL-2 goes down. No problem. Now more rockets coming in for the Elephant. These poor Italian leaders going to get wiped out immediately. Yeah, not ideal. And the Elephant also took quite a lot of damage there from that first rocket strike. I have now brought up these Para-Esploratori. They're going to be chilling on the edge of the water here, looking across the lake. I'm going to have them there for the rest of the game. The reason I can get away with doing this is because as long as they're not moving, their exceptional stealth is going to keep them pretty well hidden. And yeah, unless, I guess the other thing that could happen is like another enemy recon comes forwards, but yeah, that's going to enable me to continue to see the units on this side. IL-2s do get rockets onto the Panther. That was kind of unfortunate for me, but also lucky at the same time, because yeah, we killed the IL-2. The reason I say I was lucky is because those planes made me react to them when the IS-2 was trying to get the kill. So I preemptively reversed the Panther after that IS-2 shot at me, and the first shot of the IS-2 1943 is pretty likely to miss, because these guys only have like 35% accuracy on their main gun. But yeah, making sure that I didn't get hit by that again was pretty important, so which is why I put down the smoke. Now we see the T-34-85 1943s coming in. Now these are a problem at close range, because they have APCR, and they've also got decent AP, like the 145 mils of penetration. So at close range versus Panther A, they're going to trade much better than a T-34-76. So now I'm in a bit of a predicament with that. I think I also lost my T-34, or sorry, my Panther on this side anyway. Yeah, that went down. So now we're left with one Panther, and the only other like heavy armor that I've got is Tigers. And I'm always apprehensive about using Tigers. I lose my Panther here to more off-map. There was actually off-map here that killed this Fallschirmjager as well. Off-map's kind of being the crux of me right now. It's really just being very annoying. But I'm still getting my artillery, and I've added 2 more K-18s to this artillery. Now, in theory, I think they could have used the Androshas to counter-battery the K-18s if they wanted to, but they'd have to get them quite far forwards, which is risky, of course. And I don't think they really had like much in the way of like long-range artillery to counter these, because of the divisions that they're playing, especially with like the 97th, for example, relies so much on off-map that you fill out your artillery tab with it. So I think I was getting away with like using these K-18s for a very long time before anything was actually done about it. That's good for me, right? I can, you know, pin down these infantry. I can take out the 85s, which can open up the air for us and prevent them from shooting any of my transports and stuff. And it kind of prevents him from pushing forwards at the same time. Fallschirmjager here going to get a cheeky Panzerfaust kill into the T-34-85. That was really nice. But yeah, the off-map's still coming down here. So it's just, everything's just kind of slowing right down in this game, and I'm just kind of waiting for the off-map to finish. As soon as the off-map's finished again, we can kind of pick up where we left off at like the middle of phase B, right? Okay, as long as there's off-map available, it's always going to be hard for me to push up. And now what I'm going to do is we're going to grab all 6 of these K-18s, and I'm going to have 4 of them target the IS-2 here. If I can take out the IS-2, that'd be absolutely fantastic, because I don't have to worry about using the Elephant to kill it anymore, and the Sturmpanzer should be pretty safe on the right-hand side. We're getting the Fallschirm Pioneers to come in. Now, the reason I was bringing in the Fallschirm Pioneer wasn't necessarily because they're very good in this situation, although they do have a decent amount of damage at range. Not as much as a Fallschirmjäger though. The reason I was bringing them in was availability, because I had a lot of Fallschirm Pioneers available at this point in the game, but nowhere really to use them on the map. I just was using them instead of Fallschirmjäger, so that I had Fallschirmjäger available later in the game when my opponent would most likely be using weakish forces. So that's kind of what I was doing at this point. I did eventually bring in a leader for the Elephant, but every time the Elephant was moving forwards, it was moving out of range. I should have probably had this like following, but as you saw before, the last time I was following with it, the rocket came and landed straight on top of the leader, so yeah, I was kind of apprehensive to do that again. Fallschirm Pioneer try and take out the Guardi here. Should be able to at that range. Like, they get the FG-42 and the G-43 and the MG-34 on target. But here comes the rockets once again. That rocket hits right on target, and then the second one does as well. Elephant goes down. So the Elephant that we had quite a sizable amount in this game is finally gone. That's going to relieve a lot of pressure for Sturm and Node Commander on this left-hand side, because without the Elephant here, they can very easily pressure me now with the IS-2s across the open. So I've got to be really careful of that. But since this off-map, this rocket off-map's still coming down here, like, since it's a barrage, it lasts for like 5 minutes, like literally 5 minutes. I'm going to be going up the left-hand side with these infantry instead. I bring them up this road, and not unload them, just have them rally here and then push them all up at once into the town. That's what I was doing. And now these Tigers obviously joining the fray as well, so that I can try and engage some of this armor at closer range, maybe get the jump on some of the T-34-85s, since all of the Panthers are now dead. Now the best way to engage with a Tiger really is to let it fire and then hide until it reloads, because the reload time on a Tiger is kind of bad. Like, they get only 5 round per minute rate of fire, compared to a Panther which has like 6. And that might sound like not a big difference, but when you add like Veterancy to the equation, having 6 Veterancy is like much greater. My SBW AB-43 on the left hand side is going to go down. I believe I lost the Fallschirm Pioneer to a transport snipe. Artillery's coming in again. That's going to take out both of my nags here. Fortunately, I had more nags, and since we've taken out a lot of these 85s with the artillery now, I'm now going to bring in 4 of these Alciones. The Alcione, they come in with an 800 kilogram bomb, so nice big bomb there. I think at the last minute change the orders on those a little bit to absolutely crush that left hand side, because it was going to go about where that SDKZ7 was, but since Node Commander started falling back, I did quickly change them. But able to get away with that quite nicely. These guys barely scathed by the AA, since the artillery at the back had been picking on it for a lot of the time. Now Crow's managed to counter-attack on the right hand side, so he's now found an offensive flag here, which has broken the stalemate once again. We're 11 minutes and 55 seconds till victory, but I'm not done with the off-map yet, so we're kind of still waiting on that to finish. The reason I've got these 2 leaders on this side is for spare, but both of them in the off-map is not ideal. I'm going to be moving forwards the commander here to get the extra veterancy on the 37, and I've also got 2 new nags on the way, since I had plenty of these to spare. I think I had like 6 total on the deck, so losing 2 of them is not the biggest deal. They aren't cheap though, they're 85 points a pop, so losing them to the rocket artillery is very cost efficient for Sturm Source anyway. But yeah, I'm easily replaceable since the game, you know, has been going on for quite a while now. We're into the almost the 44-minute mark. So with that off-map down and out of the way, now we're going to be pushing back up with the Fallschirm Pioneers. I've got my artillery coming in to support us. PE2 does try and come in and scout out on this left-hand side, but going to be coming under a lot of fire there. Forced off into the back once again. And the IS-2 continuing its pressure over the river here. Does have to be a bit careful, Sturmsource, since this 105 can penetrate the IS-2 and just did. But now, yeah, a lot of the off-maps dealt with. You see I'm bringing in the Fallschirmjager again. Going to briefly spot this M3A1 commander just before my truck gets killed there. Losing any Fallschirmjagers in a truck before they unload is so tragic. But yeah, I am going to be dropping my artillery now straight onto that commander. If I can get rid of the commander, it's going to be so helpful throughout the game. Because it's going to stop these IS-2s from being 3-star veterancy. They'll only ever be maximum of 2 vet. So it's super important that I killed that. Because any veterancy I can take away from the IS-2 means that they're going to be suffering from worse and worse accuracy, which means the Tigers can be more effective and not have to worry so much about trading with the IS-2s. Not that I'd probably head on an IS-2 with the Tiger anyway, but yeah. The artillery here coming in really, really handy. And I'm going to be able to tell that I've killed the commander because the IS-2 is going to lose its vet. So that's now down to 1-star veterancy. My AA is going to be able to help force that back. You know, Glorious bringing over his 36 and this 105. Going to be able to take that PE2 down. So this is really good. Fallschirm Pioneers moving up, doing loads of damage to the infantry here. Going to be popping forwards the Tiger to have a go at the T-34. And boom, we managed to take that out. I believe the T-34 was slightly damaged from artillery, so the Tiger did manage to get the one shot in there. Black 38 looking for the shot onto the IS-2 here. Initially I did fire behind this when it was like hiding behind the tree line here, so that's why you saw the artillery rounds come down there. Also managed to take out another 85, so just opening up more ground or more airspace, I guess, for my Alcyones to come in again at some point. But they do have to repair a little bit, and now they're reloading. My M42, still got another one of these available, and the Tigers are still here. The Tigers still do use MG34s, so able to quite happily support against this infantry. Looks like the IS-2 did go down there. Yeah, we managed to pick that off with the artillery finally. And now you can see me placing all of these artillery orders a bit further up so that I can pin down and easily engage the Tigers. Tiger's going to be turret stuck, but does take out the Churchill 4. Bomber's going to be coming in, the PE2s. One of them does get its bombs off, the rest of them don't. And that bomb's going to land somewhere over here. The PE2 does go down for that, and this one coming in on its own. Oh, that was a mistake as well. Because Glorious Dude now has a flag swilling. It's a dual 37. Does a lot of damage. So I've got some more recon further up now to just kind of give me some information on these tanks. Super important that I do that because it allows me to get these favorable engagements when I'm peeking with the Tiger. If I can already see the enemy unit, then we can find the kill. This Tiger did end up going down whilst all those bombing strikes and stuff was going on. But more Fallschirm Pioneers going to be on the way. Another leader coming up. Maintaining high veterancy throughout the game. Super important to continue to trade against enemy units. You see that like his Strafniki, for example, don't have any vet. Whereas if I have 3 vet, well, that's great. And the Alcyonic going to be coming in for more bombing strikes. Gonna have to manually make that one fall back because it didn't drop its 800 kilogram bomb properly. But yeah, nice bombing strike there. definitely helping us secure this flag for a little bit longer. And I'm also able to move this Fallschirmjager across and grab this flag. So once again, we're back in a position where we can keep fighting against no commander. Since the off-map has stopped coming down, you know, we're able to get back our advantage that we lost due to that off-map. Like, all the off-map really did was just delay the game in this case. Like I said with the rocket off-map, if he'd used fire for effect, it could have just demolished this side, because it would have been probably this sort of circle and just killed everything that I was trying to contest the hill with, and then given him a good position back. But once again, artillery coming in. Lovely crit there from my Tiger. Does get a crit onto the T-34-85. It's not often you see Tigers do this good, but with the 3-star veterancy, they get just enough rate of fire to be useful. Also, the accuracy at that range means it's pretty much 100%. So that was good. Now, artillery constantly trying to come in. The nag going down again to the Andrusha. I was just happy that one of those rockets didn't hit my commander, because that very easily could have. The K-18's firing away once again. You can see I'm spreading out those shots. Since they are very high caliber, you can get away with that, with spreading out the shots. When you're using artillery that's like smaller caliber, sometimes you'll want to concentrate a lot more. Now, it's quite nice for the Tiger right now, because all of these units are T-34-76s. So the Tiger can be very liberal and run straight up. Alright, check out this Para Esploratore. It absolutely deletes the Avtos there. And I'm also going to be able to get range onto this Avto as they're running across the open. Look at that. Oh, the Berettas. They can be so good in the right situation. And that is the perfect situation for the Para Esploratore to get kills. KM Pioneer does get the Panzerschreck kill onto the T-34-76. Tiger kills the other one. And now I'm looking to kill this IS-2 1943 as well on this left-hand side with my RT. And I'm still not being counter-batteried, which is really good. Like, without these K-18s earlier on, I would have been in a really, really bad spot right now, because I wouldn't have been able to counter the pushes that No Commander was making after he brought in his off-map. Like, when he was doing like fire effect for effect with like the 148mm off-map, like that was actually killing quite a lot of stuff, and he was getting the surrenders in. Because I had my own artillery to kind of slow him down, it was enabling, me to, you know, counterattack as well and get troops back up into position before the next off-map come down. And that's why I was using like Fallschirm Pioneers instead of Fallschirmjager as well. It's because I'd rather lose the Fallschirm Pioneers at this point than my Fallschirmjager. Although I think at this point in the game I was very low on Fallschirmjager, which is why it's almost all Fallschirm Pioneer. The T-34 is still able to push forwards aggressively here, and that's exactly what they're doing. M42 going to be engaging the T-34-76. I'm also going to try and get the Para Esploratore to get a Panzerfaust kill here, but the T-34 manages to reverse out of range just in time. Now only 5 minutes and 30 seconds left until victory, so I'm just hoping to hold on to these flags. I've managed to get a Fallschirmjager to chill in this sort of, I don't know what you'd call that. It's like this sort of little sunken road on the edge of the hill. That's making sure that it can't be seen by anything, whilst putting presence over that flag. So it's going to be hard for No Commander to kind of work that out unless he actually sees it. It was a bit cheeky. Anyway, artillery fire coming in. And there's like 3 Avtos here, plus the Razvedosor. But if my big artillery comes in, well, we can pin them down. And my Pioneers can move forwards, the Tigers can continue engaging. That's going to be good for me. So a couple of Fallschirmjagers actually being brought in there to help us out. But the artillery doing plenty of damage. Both of those Avtos now dead. Razvedosor is taking more damage. And now we find 15 to 9, since Glorious does manage to get some infantry ahead of Crow on the right and briefly capture that flag. Now at this point, getting 15 to 9 is really nice because it halves the amount of time left until we win. So only 1 minute and 50 seconds left. Artillery is coming in now to counter battery. It's going for the 81mm mortar though. I do have my bombers ready to go, but waiting to kill the 85, so we take that out. Fallschirmjager do end up going down to the maximum there. But yeah, we've pretty much taken care of this left-hand side. I've killed a lot of T-34s. We've killed a lot of infantry. We're still maintaining Veterancy where we can. That's super important. Now, T-34 moves up here. I have to pull back with my Fallschirmjager so that doesn't die. Para Espo de Torre. Just kind of chilling. I didn't really need to put these on return fire, but yeah, they're still not being spotted there. And this Kubel is being targeted by 2 IS-2s right now. And the T-34. Can he get away? He is currently got basically no supply left. But T-34 is going to hit him. More artillery going to be coming in on this left-hand side. But be a bit careful with the Tiger. If the Tiger gets hit a couple of times, it could die very easily to these rockets. Tiger on this side takes care of the overextending T-34. That's good. The Tankos are going to get in close to the Falchion Pioneer, which is not good for us. But my artillery, you can see here, hitting the IS-2s nicely. I was really hoping that I'd be able to make him fall back, because if he does, then he'll fall back into the artillery that I'm bringing down. Yeah, there you go, going straight into the craters of the shots that had already come in. And another hit lands on target. That one lands nearby. Boom goes the IS-2. And that's not any old IS-2, that's an IS-2 1944. That's 220 points. Thank you very much. Some more artillery now being spread over to the left-hand side, getting the IS-2 kill. He's going to be moving the IS-2 back, so I just focus on arting other stuff instead. And this is one thing that makes the 4th Fallschirmjäger so strong, is these K-18s. They are a very good artillery piece. They are also pretty good at counter battery because they get decent accuracy even without radios. So you see there, like, that's quite far. And also because of their splash, so, they counter battery quite well. But even like at close range, they do a lot of damage because 172mm off. Like, it's basically like a 172mm off map. Just that you are in direct control of it. And Russia coming in, looking for this flag swilling. It's a good target for the Androsha, but we just have loads of AA. Between myself and Glorious, I've got loads of 88s, I've got the Nags. He's got all of the like the 75mm here. He's got the 105s, he's got the flag swillings, there's just loads of it. Unfortunate there though, one of his AA guns gets taken out. But right at the end, going to be bringing in a bit of an airstrike. There's only 10 seconds left on the clock. And all it's going to do really is look pretty. Because the bombs aren't going to come down in time. As the game's going to end. And that is GG. Minor victory after 57 minutes and 39 seconds. What a game. Yeah, I told you guys it was going to be pretty epic. 6,030 kills to 3,675 losses in the end. Yeah, throughout the game we were trading relatively well. The main thing that really stopped us from winning sooner was the off-map. And in this case, the off-map didn't really get that many kills, so it was just a delay. If it was getting its own kills, say if, like I say, the rocket artillery was used in a fire for effect manner instead, then what would have happened is I would have lost a lot more units, and then no commander can counterattack afterwards and take back the ground that I'd already taken from him. Whereas all he did really was stop me from getting to that flag for like 10 minutes with those barrages. In terms of kills, SPW AB43 is really, really good. Great value for money. If you get a couple of infantry kills with these AB43s, they pay themselves off like 2 times over. Fallschirmjager is doing really well there with the extra veterancy. Demolishing tankos at range, which is what you'd expect. This Panzerschreck, above and beyond, got 5 kills with 6 Panzerschreck rounds. Very, very nice. 3 of those being Su-85s. The Nags did well for us with the 2-star 37s. Providing the veterancy for those really was important throughout the game. And then the Sturmpanzer did okay to support at a distance, got the odd kills in here and there, but the 172 mils, these were super important. You can see these K-18s getting the T-3476s, T-3485s, including Uskin there. The Elephant didn't really do too much. The main thing that the Elephant was doing was just stopping the IS-2s from dominating the open ground. Like, as long as that Elephant's there, the IS-2s can't move forwards because the Elephant's going to win that engagement. So yeah, that's what it was there for. That's why I brought it in on the right hand side, and it kind of did its job. It just didn't really get any kills. Like, unless the opponent's going to suicide IS-2s into it, that's just not going to happen. So yeah. Panther A, getting a nice amount of T-34 kills at close range. It's going to have to get at least 3 to really pay itself off, so that's worth it. This Tiger E, really nicely done again, close range. I don't often get games where the Tigers do that well. So yeah, it was good to see that. And again, another K-18 with the IS-290-44 kill this time. The Bombers didn't actually get many kills, but they definitely helped pin stuff down and picked off the odd infantry squad here and there. And the Falchion Pioneers were doing nicely. This Pala Esploratore wrecking the Avtos, that was fun to watch. The 6 Berettas at that 150 meter range with 3-star veterancy. Absolutely annihilated. But yeah, fantastic game on Novka, which is a map we don't really play too often. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys did too. Make sure to subscribe for more Steel Division 2 content in the future. But that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.